Ethan held his breath as the shuttle slid through the silent gulf of space. Ahead, just beyond the shimmer of distant stars and cosmic dust, lay Nexus Prime, a sprawling station constructed through a rare partnership between human ingenuity and alien genius. Its silver spires and vast rings gleamed under the radiant backdrop of a nearby blue sun, casting a halo of prismatic light across the craft's viewport. He was used to the simple, grounded life on Earth, where tall buildings jutted from paved cityscapes, not from the vacuum of space. Yet here he was, on the cusp of a brand new existence. His heart pounded at the magnitude of it all. The wonders of the galaxy beckoned, and he, with a scholarship in xenobiology, yearned to unravel their secrets. Little did he know, the most profound mystery of his life would not come from a distant star, but from the individual waiting on Nexus Prime, the luminous, enigmatic Tarian who would soon share his quarters. The shuttle's engines hummed, guiding him closer. Ethan pressed his fingers to the transparent hull of the viewport, gazing down at his reflection. A freckled face stared back. His curly hair was clipped short, and his deep brown eyes gleamed with excitement. Years of study, late-night experiments, and meticulously crafted exam responses had paved his way here. The future was uncertain, yet the sense of possibility was enthralling. A soft chime sounded, announcing their approach. In neat formation, gliding drones hovered around the docking bay, their automated arms extended to assist incoming vessels. The shuttle drifted into a massive hangar ringed by docking clamps. A faint hiss, then a mechanical hum signaled their secured landing. The loading ramp descended with a whoosh. Ethan stepped onto the polished metal floor, heart pounding, as the busy, labyrinthine corridors of Nexus Prime welcomed him. Alien and human voices overlapped in the station's central concourse, a vast atrium dotted with luminescent crystals, meticulously tended hydroponic gardens, and technological wonders from across the galaxy. Towering overhead, transparent ceilings revealed the stars. Banners of interstellar peace fluttered in the subtle, artificial breeze. Yet, for all its grandeur, the station bore a comforting undercurrent of familiarity. Humans darted about, carrying crates, scanning packages, chatting about daily tasks. Nearby, a group of Tarians, lithe and vaguely humanoid, their skin faintly glowing with swirling patterns, conversed in soft, musical voices. A reptilian jeller greeted passers-by, offering directions, while two tall Orvar engineers fiddled with a console that sparked angrily. Nexus Prime, for many, was a place of trade, collaboration, and scientific pursuits. But for Ethan, it also represented a second home, where he would learn side by side with beings from distant worlds and, hopefully, forge lasting friendships. He consulted the station's holographic directory, a translucent display hovering in midair. Dormitory Wing Beta 12. With his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, he weaved through a corridor lined with flickering lights, heading deeper into the labyrinth. At each intersection, the station's automated voice offered directions. Turn left for administrative offices, proceed right for research labs, continue straight for dormitories. He followed carefully, eyes darting to each new marvel. An Orvar's multi-jointed arms deftly installing a circuit panel, a Tarian politely gliding past, her skin pulsating with pinkish radiance. After a short ride on a maglev transport tube, Ethan stepped onto a quieter deck. The hustle of the main concourse gave way to softly lit hallways, with doors etched in both human script and alien glyphs. After checking his assignment card, he halted at room B-451. The door hissed open to reveal a compact, yet welcoming space. A shared living area, flanked by two private sleeping pods, encompassed a small kitchenette and a lounge with a wide observation window. Natural starlight filtered inside, casting soft reflections across polished surfaces. A single occupant stood near the window, her silhouette illuminated by cosmic radiance. She turned upon hearing the door. Her features, distinctly Tarian, captured Ethan's gaze instantly. Tall and slender, she possessed a gentle luminance across her translucent skin. Curving motifs that glowed in pastel hues danced beneath her surface, reminiscent of shifting nebulae. Her hair, if one could call it that, resembled shimmering filaments running across her scalp, occasionally flickering with tiny motes of energy. "You must be Ethan," she greeted. Her voice was smooth, lightly melodic, and carried a subtle echo, as though resonating from a place beyond her physical form. "I'm Sira. It's nice to meet you." Ethan felt his heart leap, partly from awe, partly from a flicker of nervousness. He had studied Tarians in textbooks, but seeing one up close was entirely different. Their quiet glow, the fluidity in their movements, it hinted at a deep, intrinsic link to cosmic energy. He nodded, stepping forward. "Yes, that's me. I'm really looking forward to living and studying here. Thanks for having me. Or, well, for sharing this space." She smiled, a warm expression that made the pastel swirls across her cheeks brighten. "I've heard we'll be in the xenobiology program together. I look forward to exchanging knowledge." And, she paused, eyeing him curiously. "Your heart rate is elevated. Are you nervous?" Caught off guard, Ethan let out a short laugh. "And maybe a little. Sorry, this is all new. And your, luminescence is beautiful. I've never seen anything quite like it." She chuckled softly, her voice like tinkling glass chimes. "Then I'm grateful to share something novel with you. Let's hope we become good friends." He relaxed, dropping his duffel onto a nearby bunk. Thus began the improbable bond between the Earthborn student and the luminous Tarian, unaware that the seeds of destiny were already sown, waiting for a single cosmic spark to ignite the chain of events that would upend both their lives. Days passed in a whirl of orientation sessions and laboratory tours, with Ethan and Sira growing comfortable in each other's company. They learned to navigate cultural differences. Tarians had a different sense of personal space and an innate empathy for emotional states, often noticing subtle shifts in mood through their psionic-like perception. And humans, in turn, had their own traditions and norms that Sira found endearing, if occasionally perplexing. Sira's day usually began hours before Ethan's. She found the hustle of the labs invigorating, spending mornings scanning petri dishes of microorganisms from uncharted planets. Her luminescent glow pulsed faintly whenever she discovered something captivating, a phenomenon Ethan likened to childlike wonder. He admired her passion for the unknown. Ethan, for his part, found comfort in methodical research. He was cautious in everything he did, double-checking safety protocols, verifying the results, perhaps due to a deep-rooted fear of accidents. He had once shattered an entire shelf of chemical beakers in his old university lab back on Earth, and the memory still caused him occasional embarrassment. Despite their differences in routine and temperament, they bonded over shared curiosity, trading notes on Tarian biology, human culture, interstellar flora and fauna, and the newest breakthroughs published by the station's scientific consortium. Late at night, they often lounged by the observation window in their dorm, gazing upon drifting stars, speaking in hushed voices, letting the gentle hush of galactic silence cradle their musings. It was in that dim glow of starlight that Ethan first noticed something unusual in Sira's aura. The swirling patterns beneath her skin shifted more vigorously whenever she talked about high-energy phenomena, pulsars, quasars, cosmic storms. He recalled a line from a xenobiology text stating that Tarians shared an inherent bond with cosmic energies, though the specifics remained obscure in human literature. Many of the Tarians' natural abilities were either unknown or closely guarded. With fascination, he wondered whether Sira harbored potentials beyond what even she understood. The first hint of Sira's hidden nature occurred on a serene afternoon in the advanced xenobiology lab. There, teams studied alien microorganisms in specialized containment units. The environment was heavily regulated, sterile, climate-controlled, with meticulously placed hazard warnings. Ethan and Sira shared a workstation, handling delicate samples from a newly discovered planet known as Keras 9. Researchers believe the microbial life there thrived on levels of radiation lethal to most species. Peering into the magnifier, Sira gasped. She gently nudged Ethan's arm. "Look at this strain. It's replicating at an astonishing rate, responding to the gamma stimuli as though it were nourishment." Ethan leaned over, adjusting the focus. "Unbelievable. We need to modulate the containment field to ensure it doesn't breach the system. If it feeds on radiation, we should be careful about exposing it to any unregulated sources." The overhead lights flickered. A faint alarm trilled across the lab, accompanied by a calm, automated voice. "Warning. Energy spike detected in Containment Pod 7. Stand by for system adjustments. Sira's expression darkened. That's the pod we're analyzing. The sample must have triggered the station's energy grid sensors. Ethan typed in commands, attempting to isolate the cause. It's drawing power from the gamma source at a faster rate than we can moderate. Let's shut down the feed. Wait, something's locked the console. This is unusual. Around them, scientists hurried, checking screens and shouting partial diagnoses to each other. The overhead lights flashed again, indicating a hazard. Then, quite abruptly, a sizzling crackle erupted from the containment pod. Arcs of pale energy danced across the protective field. The microorganisms, invisible to the naked eye, seemed to incite an overload in the power system. Before Ethan could pull Sira away, a massive spark shot from the console, lashing the air with radiant fury. Time seemed to slow. Ethan raised his arms defensively, bracing for searing pain. But instead of hitting him, the discharge curved, drawn irresistibly towards Sira. She gasped, her eyes wide, her skin flaring in an array of swirling neon pulses. A force beyond comprehension filled the room, bending the arcs of electricity to her form. The display was mesmerizing, terrifying, a dance of cosmic energy culminating in a brilliant flash. When Ethan blinked away the spots clouding his vision, the console was dark. Smoke curled upward. Fuses had blown, leaving the lab in gloom. The tension in the air felt thick and charged, crackling on the verge of releasing stored static. His gaze darted to Sira. She stood trembling, her entire being aglow, the luminescent patterns on her skin spinning in frantic shapes. And then, the energy dissipated, sinking into her, leaving her trembling form slumped against the now-dead console. Scientists rushed over, voices echoing in alarm. But to their amazement, the environment stabilized. The station's emergency power systems kicked in, sealing the containment pods. The meltdown that had threatened the lab vanished. Ethan cradled Sira's shoulders. "Are you okay? Sira, can you hear me?" She lifted her gaze, eyes shimmering with unearthly light. Her voice was laced with shock. I'm fine, I think. It just went inside me. I felt that energy, those arcs. It was like they recognized me. I couldn't stop it." She collapsed in Ethan's arms, the swirling patterns beneath her skin fading to a softer glimmer. The rest of the lab hurried to secure the specimens. Alarms were muted. And in that moment, with Sira safe in his arms, Ethan felt the first stirrings of an impossible reality. Some part of her physiology had not only absorbed a deadly electrical surge, but neutralized it. The entire lab could have been destroyed if not for her inexplicable power. Later that evening, after a thorough med check in the infirmary and repeated scans by nervous doctors, Sira was deemed healthy, though the staff insisted on a follow-up. The medical professionals, both human and alien, could not fully explain the phenomenon. Speculation churned. Perhaps Tarians possessed untapped electrokinetic traits, or some deeper cosmic link. Sira remained stoic, her expression tinged with uncertainty. Quietly, she looked up at Ethan. "Something's changed. I feel different now." He squeezed her hand, uncertain how to respond, the magnitude of the day's events settling over him like a heavy blanket. Though no one had been seriously harmed, a swirl of rumors began to spread across the station. Whispered voices spoke of an energy-absorbing Tar-Yen, of a near catastrophe averted by an otherworldly power. The more sensational rumors painted her as a dangerous threat, the next cosmic menace. Meanwhile, Sira sensed the anxious stares of her peers and retreated inward, uncertain how to deal with what she had become. In the days that followed, Sira tried to revert to routine. She studied xenobiology, compiled lab reports, and gave polite nods to acquaintances. Yet something unspoken simmered within her. Ethan noticed it in the slight tremor in her fingers when she handled equipment, or in the subtle way she avoided direct contact with live energy sources. She could feel the currents around her, electrical, magnetic, cosmic. They whispered, beckoned, dancing at the edge of her awareness. Ethan, ever the methodical researcher, assembled a trove of scientific texts, historical accounts, and Tar-Yen folklore in an effort to piece together what might be happening to her. In their shared dorm, late at night, they pored over dusty references, scanning for any mention of Tarians who wielded such powers. Sira flicked through a digital archive, eyes scanning ancient Taryan glyphs. Here, in one of the oldest Taryan legends, they speak of an ancestral being who channeled cosmic energies to protect their colony from a solar flare. But it's considered a myth, nothing more. Ethan hesitated, glancing at her curiously. Myths often have kernels of truth. Perhaps you inherited some genetic trait, or that lab accident triggered a latent ability. Either way, we can't ignore the fact you absorbed that energy. She looked up, faint worry in her gaze. What if it's dangerous? I'm still trying to understand it. But each day, I sense it growing, like a flame that keeps rising whenever I so much as think about it. He gently placed a reassuring hand on hers. We'll figure it out, Sira. If anyone can handle this responsibly, it's you. Her lips curved into a hesitant smile, a subtle relief dancing in her luminescent eyes. Thank you, Ethan. I'm just glad you're here. Their bond deepened in these uncertain times, the seeds of a quiet warmth blossoming into something more profound. Each evening, they found themselves stepping closer, sharing comforting words, small touches, searching for solace amidst the swirling mysteries of cosmic power. Inevitably, word of Sira's abilities reached the station's higher authorities. One afternoon, an official summons arrived at their dorm, calling her to a private meeting with the Science Council, a body comprising human and alien representatives responsible for high-level research oversight. The message was terse, formal, yet carried undertones of tension. The Council's chambers, perched high in Nexus Prime's administrative tower, offered sweeping views of the station's external rings and the silent gulf beyond. Security officers, both human and Orvar, flanked the entrance. Ethan accompanied Sira, determined to show his support. They stepped through tall, ornate doors, entering a circular hall lined with high-backed chairs. At the center stood a single podium. Luminescent crystals suspended overhead cast shifting lights across the room. Representatives from various species sat in a half-ring, gazing down with expressions that ranged from curiosity to concern. A balding human counselor named Merrick, stooped with age, initiated the proceedings. Sira of the Taryan people, he began, his voice echoing across the dais. We have convened to discuss the event in Lab Beta 12, during which you apparently neutralized a dangerous energy surge by absorbing it into your own body. Sira nodded, trying to suppress the flutter of anxiety in her chest. Yes, counselor. It was an involuntary reaction. I didn't realize I had any such capability. An Orvar counselor tapped an elongated finger on a console. Witness statements confirm you saved the lab from catastrophic meltdown. Yet the power you displayed is extraordinary. We must ascertain the cause, the potential ramifications, and how best to ensure station safety. Ethan cleared his throat, stepping forward respectfully. Sira has undergone medical scans. There's no evidence of harm, nor have we found reason to suspect she poses a threat. This was an unprecedented event, possibly a dormant Taryan trait awakened by the energy spike. A Taryan elder on the council, her complexion a deep, iridescent violet, leaned forward, luminous patterns cascading across her stern face. She spoke with measured calm. Legends among our people speak of rare individuals who can interact with cosmic energies at will. But in modern times, it's considered myth, or at best, an anomaly. If indeed this power resides in you, Sira, you may be the first in generations to display such an ability. A hush fell over the hall. Finally, Counselor Merrick nodded gravely. We recognize your contributions to the station's safety and do not wish to punish you. However, your abilities must be studied under controlled conditions. We ask for your cooperation to engage in specialized testing, so we may confirm no harm can come of this phenomenon. Sira hesitated, her gaze shifting to Ethan, who offered an encouraging nod. I will cooperate, she said, voice trembling slightly. I don't fully understand these powers, but I want to ensure they don't threaten anyone. Satisfied, the council adjourned. Sira was scheduled for a battery of assessments to begin the following morning. As Ethan escorted her out, a wave of relief mingled with trepidation washed over them. The worst-case scenario, imprisonment or forced relocation, had not occurred. Yet it was clear that Sira's life would never be the same. Thus began the tests. In a highly secure laboratory wing, Sira faced an array of meticulously designed scenarios, from exposure to varying frequencies of electromagnetic fields to controlled bursts of ionized radiation. Scientists wearing protective suits hovered behind reinforced glass, observing her responses, measuring the flickers of her luminescence, scanning for neural and physiological changes. The process left her exhausted, though physically unhurt. At first, the test confirmed what Ethan suspected. Sira could draw in energy from her environment, electric, magnetic, even cosmic rays. But each new absorption heightened her baseline glow, as though feeding a growing reservoir within her. Even more astonishingly, she began to demonstrate a limited ability to release it, to channel microbursts of electricity or gentle force waves, though she struggled to control the direction and intensity. Ethan watched these demonstrations with awe, meticulously logging data. Beneath the watchful eyes of the scientists, the flicker of new possibilities came to life. If Sira could refine her control, she might become a living conduit for cosmic forces. Or, if misused, a potential weapon. Rumors swirled across Nexus Prime as the news spread. Some praised Sira as a savior who could protect the station against cosmic calamities. Others whispered of catastrophic accidents waiting to happen. More superstitious sorts suggested she was a harbinger of ancient Tarian prophecy, destined to reshape entire galaxies. Tension lingered in the air, a silent thundercloud overshadowing daily life. During one test, a slightly unscrupulous scientist pushed the limits. He introduced a field of intense gamma radiation, well above the recommended safe threshold. Sira grimaced, her luminous veins flaring. Tendrils of brilliant energy crackled across her arms as she struggled to contain the surge. Ethan, monitoring from behind the glass, noticed alarm bells screaming from the control panel. "She can't handle that level. Cut the feed," he yelled, panic rising. But the scientist, perhaps ambitious or enthralled, hesitated, wanting to see how far her powers could go. The energy built to a blinding crescendo around Sira. She screamed, her voice echoing with layers of harmonic resonance. The glass began to vibrate dangerously. Only then did the lead researcher slam the emergency shutdown. The feed cut, leaving Sira panting, doubled over, bright arcs dancing around her body as though seeking an escape. Ethan rushed in, ignoring warnings to wait. He pressed a palm to her shoulder. "Sira, are you all right?" She looked up, face pale, eyes glowing. I nearly lost control. It felt like I was about to explode." Tears shimmered in the corners of her eyes, the swirling patterns on her skin flickering erratically. In that charged moment, Ethan sensed the precarious balance she was forced to maintain, a living reactor with no blueprint. Infuriated, Ethan confronted the scientist who had risked her well-being. Angry words were exchanged. Security intervened, and the scientist was dismissed from the program. Yet the damage was done, instilling in Sira a lingering fear. No matter her intentions, unscrupulous individuals could see her as a tool, a weapon, or a living battery to exploit. She resolved to avoid further testing beyond what was strictly necessary. The council consented, acknowledging the moral hazard of continuing such risky experiments. They declared the main battery of tests concluded. Freed from the daily barrage of experiments, Sira tried to regain a semblance of normalcy. She and Ethan resumed their classes, albeit with a new undercurrent of distraction. The sense of wonder that once accompanied their studies was overshadowed by the weight of her emerging abilities. Meanwhile, the bond between them blossomed into an unspoken closeness. Long nights of whispering confessions gave shape to a growing tenderness neither could fully name. One evening, while a soft hum of station maintenance drifted through the walls, Ethan prepared tea in their kitchenette. He offered her a mug, an earthly blend laced with subtle warmth. She inhaled the fragrance, her luminescent patterns relaxing. "This is nice," she murmured, sipping carefully. "The sweet bitterness of your earth leaves always soothes me." Ethan looked at her, heart full. "You say your earth leaves, but, in a way, you've made them yours too. You're not just a visitor anymore." A gentle smile curved her lips. "You're right. Nexus Prime is our home now. I only wish all this power didn't set me so far apart." He set his mug down. "Sira, you're still you. The power, it's part of you, but it doesn't define everything. You're more than a walking energy conduit." She gazed into his eyes, a silent emotion passing between them, warm as starlight. Tentatively, almost shyly, she touched his cheek. "Thank you, Ethan, for seeing me beyond the glow, beyond the fear." His breath caught. With her gentle touch, he felt the faintest spark, a soft electric tingle that wasn't unpleasant. The swirl of colors in her eyes reflected galaxies of unspoken possibilities. Without words, they leaned closer, the station's hum receding into the distance, and shared a tender, tentative kiss. A swirl of luminous aura bathed them, wrapping them in a cocoon of quiet wonder. For a moment, all the anxieties, rumors, and scientific studies fell away, eclipsed by a bond rooted in empathy and fascination. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. Their fragile peace was short-lived. Unbeknownst to them, on the far edge of Nexus Prime sector, a cosmic threat had emerged. A rogue crew of pirates, led by a cunning human renegade named Talon Hess, had begun raiding outposts and supply ships. Rumors reached the station. Entire cargo freighters vanished, their logs hinting at advanced cloaking technology. No survivors were reported. The destruction was swift, merciless, and beyond typical pirate capabilities. Talon Hess was known across the galaxy as a tech-savvy outlaw with a thirst for power. The last transmissions from a ravaged colony indicated Hess might possess a device capable of neutralizing entire defense systems in seconds. If that was true, Nexus Prime could be next. The station was a prime target, brimming with resources, advanced labs, and cutting-edge weapons research. Despite the vigilance of station security, an uneasy dread settled in the corridors of Nexus Prime. The council convened to discuss heightened protective measures. Morale wavered. Thousands of lives, human and alien, depended on the station's safety. Meanwhile, out on the fringes, sightings of Hess's pirate fleet multiplied. Ethan and Sira listened to the news with growing concern. Ethan recognized that the station's defenses, formidable though they were, might not repel a sustained, high-tech assault. Sira sensed the tension in the air, in every guarded look from passers-by. And silently, a question formed in her mind. If Hess's device could truly disable the station's defenses, would her own powers be any match for such a threat? The tension reached a tipping point when the Council received an intercepted transmission. Hess demanded that Nexus Prime surrender its top scientific breakthroughs, or face destruction. The boldness of the ultimatum stunned many. Some advocated negotiation, others called for immediate evacuation. But the station's leaders were not keen on capitulating, nor was immediate evacuation feasible given the tens of thousands of inhabitants. They resolved to stand their ground. As if orchestrated by fate, just 2 days after the ultimatum, Talon Hess's fleet emerged from behind the shadow of a nearby moon. Long, sleek vessels with advanced cloaking tech flickered into visible range, bristling with weaponry. The station's alarm klaxons wailed. Civilians were ordered to shelter in designated safety zones. Defense turrets powered up, local fighter squadrons launched, and every soul braced for the conflict to come. From their dorm window, Ethan and Sira watched streaks of laser fire crisscross the vacuum. The station's energy shield flared under impact. Bits of debris drifted from damaged vessels, human, alien, or pirate. The scene resembled some tragic ballet of sparks and dying light set against a starlit backdrop. Then the second wave of Hess's assault began. Unleashing the rumored device, Hess's flagship emitted a disruptive pulse. The station's main shield flickered, sputtered, and died. One by one, weapon systems fell silent, left powerless by the mysterious scrambler. Drones spiraled out of control, battered starships drifted aimlessly. The once formidable defenses were systematically reduced to nothing. Ethan's heart hammered. How can they neutralize everything so quickly? Sira stared, eyes aglow, her luminous patterns shifting. That device, it's unraveling the station's power grid at a fundamental level. If the rumors are true, it's harnessing exotic particles to disrupt energy flow, making it impossible to maintain conventional defenses. She set her jaw with sudden determination. But what if I can do something about it? What do you mean? Ethan asked, dread and hope mingling in his voice. Her aura brightened. I can absorb energy, manipulate fields. If I can get close enough to that device, maybe I can interfere with its emission or even shut it down. He grasped her hands. That's too dangerous. Hess will have an entire squadron protecting that flagship. She trembled, adrenaline coursing through her. We can't just stand by. If the station falls, tens of thousands will be killed or enslaved. My abilities might be the only thing unaffected by that device. It scrambles standard tech, but my powers are biological, cosmic in nature. Ethan's mind raced. He could envision the risk, Sira flying straight into enemy lines, confronting a state-of-the-art superweapon. Yet he also knew she was right. The station's defenses were failing. Time was running out. She might be their only chance. I'll help you however I can, he said, voice steady. But promise me you'll be careful. They shared a desperate, heartfelt embrace. In that moment, illusions of normalcy vanished, replaced by a fierce resolve to protect their home. Grabbing a few essential tools, portable thrusters, an EVA suit for Ethan, a scanning device to track the scrambler's frequency, they hurried through the battered corridors toward a docking bay. The Council, scattered in crisis mode, offered no official plan. This was a mission fueled by desperation, guided by hope. The docking bay was in partial lockdown. Ships meant for swift evacuations had scattered or been commandeered for defense. Sparks showered the floor from damaged conduits overhead. Sira and Ethan found a small, swift research shuttle, a stubby craft meant for short-range planetary surveys. They secured clearance from a harried technician who recognized Sira's name and simply waved them forward, muttering prayers for their success. Inside the cramped cockpit, Ethan activated the engines. Panels flickered as residual power stuttered, but the ship roared to life. Sira stood by the co-pilot's seat, calmly adjusting her harness. She radiated tension, her skin shimmering with arcs of quiet energy. They launched, slipping through the half-ruined hangar doors into the star-laden void. Immediately, they were confronted by scenes of chaos. Dogfights erupted between the station's few operational fighters and Hess's sleek pirate ships. Explosions cast fleeting bursts of color. The station's surface bristled with dark scars where weapons' fire had struck. Sira's gaze locked onto the largest vessel in the distance, a menacing silhouette, Hess's flagship. Ethan steered the shuttle on an evasive trajectory, weaving past debris. Sensor readings indicated the scrambler's pulses emanated from the flagship's underside, a specialized module glowing a harsh red on the readout. They had to get close, board the vessel, or in some way bring Sira into direct proximity with that device. But as they approached, the pirates took notice. Streams of laser fire converged, forcing Ethan into sharp maneuvers. The shuttle bucked under near misses. Then a direct hit rocked them, sending sparks flying across the cockpit. Alarm klaxons blared. Shields down to 20%. Ethan shouted over the din, "We can't hold out much longer." Sira unbuckled her harness. "We've got to do this now. Drop me close, and I'll try to float across to the hull." Her luminous veins surged with renewed determination. "If I can touch that scrambler's power source." Ethan's stomach twisted. "That's madness, but I see no alternative." Gritting his teeth, he guided the shuttle into a precarious arc, swinging around the vessel's flank. He matched velocities, bringing them within a few hundred meters of the glowing module. Automated turrets lined the flagship's hull, spitting plasma bolts. There was no time to wait. Sira donned a specialized EVA harness, stepping toward the shuttle's airlock. With the press of a button, the hatch slid open, revealing the star-filled void. She turned to Ethan, eyes brimming with a mix of fear and resolve. He grabbed her hand, pressing a short, desperate kiss to her forehead. "Come back to me," he whispered. She squeezed his hand in silent promise, then lunged into space. The harness thrusters engaged, propelling her toward the flagship. Laser bursts zipped by, starry arcs reflected in the polished metal below. Her glowing patterns brightened, resonance building. The device's pulses hammered through her senses, disorienting, but she pushed on, determined to see this through. A pirate turret whirred, adjusting aim. She spun aside, narrowly dodging a searing beam. Another turret locked onto her. This time, she felt a wave of fear. The shot fired, a scorching lance of plasma. Instinct kicked in. Luminous energy surged from her palms, deflecting the beam. The plasma parted around her, leaving her unscathed, though momentarily stunned. The swirling arcs on her skin flickered triumphantly. She landed on the hull with a soft clang, magnetic plates in her boots gripping the metal. At once, The device's malevolent hum pounded through her entire being, threatening to disrupt her focus. Her breath caught. This was no ordinary emitter. It resonated with subspace harmonics, intentionally designed to dismantle energy flow at the quantum level. Gritting her teeth, Sira pressed her palm against the module's outer casing. Energy coursed into her arm in chaotic torrents. She gasped, fighting to stabilize the flow. It felt like grappling with a living storm, an unstable mass of subatomic fury. The device whined, sparks dancing across its surface. Nearby, a hatch hissed open. Several pirates emerged, wielding rifles. Their leader, a tall man with a cybernetic arm, glared at Sira with disdain. "You won't sabotage my masterpiece," he snarled. "Fire!" Shots rang out. Energy blasts sizzled around her. In reflex, she released some of the stored power from her body, shaping a shimmering barrier that deflected the bolts. She trembled at the raw intensity, never having wielded her ability so offensively. Each shot that struck the barrier was absorbed, fueling her even more. The swirling luminescence covering her body climbed to a dangerous brightness, threatening to overload her senses. Ethan, from the shuttle, watched in breathless horror. She was a glowing beacon, pinned against the pirate's hull, a flurry of weapon fire bouncing off the shield she formed. The flagship's turrets began tracking her more accurately, preparing a lethal barrage. "Sira, you have to hurry," Ethan cried through the comm. "They're converging on your position." She clenched her jaw, ignoring the staccato blasts. Instead, she forced her focus deeper into the device's core. With a surge of will, she pulled more energy from it, straining its internal matrix. Fissures formed along the module's casing. The subspace disruptor howled in protest, the frequency warping under her manipulations. She channeled the chaotic pulse into her own cosmic reservoir, pushing beyond the threshold of mere absorption. Pain seared her nerves. She felt as if her cells might implode under the onslaught. With a final, anguished roar, she unleashed the pent-up energy back into the device's core, twisting its function into meltdown. The module erupted in a cascade of sparks and plasma, the disruptor's pulses sputtering out. Instantly, sensor readouts across the sector lit up as Nexus Prime's shields and weapons began rebooting. The station's defenders, no longer handicapped, regrouped for a counterattack. Seeing the tide turn, many of Hess's pirates broke formation, fleeing into deep space. The few that remained attempted a desperate last stand. Meanwhile, the hull beneath Sira rumbled. She collapsed, exhausted, her luminescence flickering dangerously. Ethan swooped in with the shuttle, ignoring the risk of stray fire. He maneuvered close enough for her to leap back into the airlock. She tumbled inside, breath ragged, body shining like a fading star. He sealed the hatch, frantically scanning her vitals. "Sira," he cried, voice breaking. "Stay with me." She coughed, forcing a weak smile. I think I'm okay. Just drained." The newly revived station defense grid locked onto Hess's flagship, bombarding it with coordinated strikes. The flagship lurched, battered by wave after wave of potent laser fire. Explosions rocked its interior. Sensing defeat, Hess detached part of his ship, escaping with a fraction of his crew into FTL jump, leaving the main hull to disintegrate in a series of blazing shocks. Ethan steered the shuttle away, shielding Sira from the final blasts. Fiery debris lit the cosmos, marking the end of Hess's immediate threat. Cheers erupted across Nexus Prime. Through scattered transmissions, the station hailed the heroic intervention that had crippled the scrambler, saved countless lives, and restored hope. But inside the cramped shuttle cockpit, Ethan had eyes only for Sira. She lay in his arms, her breathing shallow. He cradled her gently, brushing aside her shimmering filaments of hair. "You did it," he whispered, voice filled with quiet awe. "You saved everyone." Her lips parted in an exhausted grin. "We did it, Ethan. And I learned how far I can push this power." She closed her eyes, tension slipping away. He kissed her brow, warmth flooding his chest. "Rest. Let's get you back to the station." In the aftermath, a wave of relief and celebration swept over Nexus Prime. Though damage from the initial assault was extensive, casualties were far fewer than feared. The pirates, routed and leaderless in Hess's absence, scattered into far corners of space. Repairs began immediately, with humans and aliens working side by side to restore the station's battered hull. Memorial services were held for the fallen, but an undercurrent of gratitude prevailed. They had survived a dire threat, united by a spirit of cooperation and courage. Unsurprisingly, Sira's heroic act became legend almost overnight. Everywhere she went, station residents greeted her with admiration, some even bowing in reverence. While she accepted their gratitude humbly, she remained wary of the attention, remembering how, just weeks ago, rumors had painted her as dangerous. Now, they called her a savior. The council, for its part, formally commended her and Ethan. In a ceremony held in the same chamber where she had once been questioned, they were awarded a medal of interspecies valor. The Tarian elder who had once spoken sternly now regarded her with gentle pride. Counselor Merrick, old and stooped, offered warm words. In darkest times, your bravery lit our way. We owe you a debt beyond measure. Even the xenobiology faculty recognized that Sira's powers, and her careful study of them, would expand the frontiers of scientific knowledge. But Sira herself, having witnessed how easily such abilities could be exploited, resolved to keep her powers from any unscrupulous hands. She accepted a position as a specialized researcher for the station's Cosmic Energy Division, ensuring any insights gleaned from her physiology would be used responsibly and under her own watchful eye. In the weeks following the battle, life on Nexus Prime settled into a hopeful rhythm. Reconstruction efforts thrived, forging an even stronger bond among the station's inhabitants. Interstellar cargo routes reopened, commerce resumed, and scientific endeavors flourished. The memory of Talon Hess's assault lingered as a sober reminder of the galaxy's perils, but also as a testament to the resilience and unity that had been forged. Sira and Ethan found quiet moments amidst the bustle, strolling through newly planted gardens in the atrium, discussing the future of interspecies collaboration over cups of Earth tea, or studying star charts, pointing out far-flung galaxies they might one day explore. The station's night cycle hush enveloped them in soft lights and starlit windows. One evening, they returned to their dorm, weary from a day of lab work interspersed with station renewal projects. The corridors glowed faintly, lit by dimmed overhead fixtures. Outside their observation window, the cosmos glittered with infinite promise. Ethan placed a stack of research notes on the table. We've come a long way since that lab accident, he mused, recalling the day her powers first revealed themselves in a burst of electricity. Hard to believe it's been only a few months. Sira nodded, a tender smile illuminating her features. She stepped close, resting her forehead against his. I'm thankful every day that you were there, that you believed in me, even when I had no idea how to handle this power. He placed his hands gently on her waist, feeling the subtle hum of her cosmic energy, no longer foreign or frightening, but familiar and comforting. I'll always believe in you. You've shown me wonders I never thought possible, and we're only at the beginning. She met his gaze, the swirling patterns beneath her skin reflecting the starlight. I'd like to explore those wonders with you, Ethan. Not as a subject in a lab, not as a mere cosmic anomaly, but as the person I've become, someone who wants to share her life with you. His heart swelled, words escaping him momentarily. With gentle reverence, he pressed a kiss to her glowing cheek. Nothing would make me happier, Sira. The hum of the station receded into a quiet lullaby. They stood together, enveloped by an embrace that bridged two species, two worlds, and the endless tapestry of stars overhead. In that moment, the complexities and perils of the cosmos seemed distant. What remained was the profound simplicity of their connection, a vow of devotion that transcended scientific marvels or planetary borders. Yes, they had faced harrowing dangers. Yes, they had much to learn about the cosmic energies that flowed through Sira's luminous form. But here, at the threshold of a shared future, they chose hope, curiosity, and above all, love. Over the following months and years, Ethan and Sira would embark on countless adventures, some academic, some heroic, always side by side. Together, they would study the mysteries of alien biology, cosmic anomalies, and the intricate tapestry of interstellar life. And when challenges arose, be it from scientific oversight and scrupulous warlords or the unstoppable march of galactic time, they would face them arm in arm, certain that their bond, forged in crisis and nurtured by wonder, would endure. For now, though, in the hush of Nexus Prime's neon-lit corridors, they simply held each other close, the station outside bustling anew with possibility. In that shared breath, they found a serenity that promised, no matter what storms might come, their story would guide them to a brighter dawn. And so, beneath the shimmer of distant stars, their tale drew a gentle close, sealed with love, powered by discovery, and brightened by the luminous gift that bound their fates. Though cosmic challenges might loom on the horizon, they would always greet them with courage, empathy, and a belief in the limitless power of unity. Happily ever after, across constellations yet unknown, Ethan and Sira set forth, together, unbroken, unstoppable, and in love.